Good morning, afternoon, depending on where you are. Uh, Today, we are going to be doing some scrubbing of data. Let me go ahead and I completely rearranged my office and had to turn off my computer. So none of our variables are saved. I had to quit the kernel that I was working in and whatnot. So we're just going to let this run. Um, and I'm gonna drink some coffee. I'm definitely still waking up for the day. And we're going to work on some traditional scrubbing activities today, I believe. We looked at last time uh, the signal versus time type data, and the results were pretty confusing. So I'm just gonna let that exist in my brain for a while, and we're going to deal with that when we have to deal with that, which is not right now. That's gonna be in our explore section. I just wanted to give my brain a little preview of what we might be facing in the future so I can start to develop an action plan. However, today we're going to spend some time doing some traditional scrubbing activities, which includes, evaluating object data types, looking at all of the column data types for our particular data frame, managing not a numbers, figuring out what those are and if it's because of trailing whitespace and what type of data it should be in the first place. We're going to manage some duplicates and infinite numbers. I apologize. It appears my phone has rung, and it's not the kind of phone ring I can ignore, so I will be back momentarily. Meanwhile, enjoy the vibes. Hi. Oh, that's interesting. It looks like my mic's a little high. It also looks like... Oh, there we go. There's some music. It's just really low. The delivery guy, and I'm expecting a package, just decided to push literally every button on the building. So that's what happened. So coffee. Yeah, today we're doing some traditional scrubbing techniques. I'm gonna try to remember to start my timer for each of those tasks. And we're gonna worry about what's on screen a little bit later once we get to explore and are starting to use more tools at our disposal. Something that I'm kind of keeping an eye on is you can see my hard drive 1, that's my SSD. Hard drive 0 is my traditional hard drive, but my SSD is right beneath my, like, this far from my video card. And so I'm a little bit worried that it's staying at 50 degrees C. It's rated up to 55, so I'm just going to be careful and cognizant of spikes. Although all of my temperatures are like 10 degrees above where I want them right now. So I'm going to need to maybe rethink or clean or add some more fans to my box. Yeah. So we'll see. Okay. So yeah, traditional scrubbing techniques. I'm going to go ahead and start my timer. The first thing that we're going to do, now that we have all of our data, including the time data, this task here, do some additional research into start time on MiniGC. I've done a cursory glance at some stuff, and there's not a lot of information out there about it, which is not surprised. Veneers has their stuff pretty on lock. So instead, I'm just going to kind of shift into a little bit of a different space. I'm going to leave this here. And let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start my timer for evaluate data types. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just pulling up some notes from a past project. Let's do a different one. Oh god, this is all in one notebook. So, you know how you learn things about stuff? Oh, come on. You're not letting me use the hyperlinks inside my notebook? Come on, GitHub, get it together. Okay. I did some web scraping here. We might actually go back and do some web scraping. But the thing is, what I'm planning to do with these scrub tasks is I want to pipeline them so that if we go find additional data, we can run it through the scrubbing process, no problem. Okay, here we go. was working a lot with text data. This one might not have what I'm looking for. We'll find out. NLP projects, which is what I'm looking at right now, are super weird, y'all. Yeah. Okay, that's not gonna have what I want. This one will. Okay. Okay, this is good for... I didn't even talk about outliers, man. We gotta deal with outliers. Okay, so that's gonna be a good reference. I want to find something a little bit later on. See, I think I did it in this one. I know y'all can't see what I'm looking at. Sorry, this is too big to display. That's why I started separating out my notebooks more. Too big to display. Too big to display. And I don't even think they're... Let's find out. Module, this was for project. Yeah, there's literally nothing in the project folder. There's nothing in that project folder. Project. Okay, that's the one I'm looking at now. Let's see. Oh, cool. I didn't realize I'd already started that project. Lassie. I do have notes. That's good. Shoosh, man. Okay, let's see here. Invalid notebook. Invalid notebook. I have a bunch of links broken in a couple of my projects right now. It's a little frustrating. Okay, regardless, we'll figure this out. So I want to check for object data types, and to do that, I need to access all of the concentrations. And I need to look at every column name or every data type in every data frame. So let's just try one. Let's look at conx 0. If I print that out, that's a data frame. That's good. And if I do dot type, I wonder what happens. data frame object has no attribute dot type. So if I do this, which should be the first column, or no, that's the first row. Let me do the first, let's do this. I want all, but just the first column. Slice none, none, 0. Cool. So let's go back here. And if I do 0, what happens? Invalid reference. Let's do dot columns. How about that? There we go. And let's set this up as a variable, column names equals, and that should be the same for all of them. Okay, now if I do const 0, and if I do, yeah, column names, just the first one, I get the first data type. If I do type, what do I get? Series has no attribute. Same thing, probably, yeah, series has no attribute. Is it D type? Yeah. Okay, so this is what I want. So, for I in range of 0 to the length of const, I want to print const I, and now I need to do this as well. For j in range 0 to length of column names, I want to print const I column j d type. I also want to print file names I. Oh, there we go. File names, let's do column names J. Okay, I want these in the same thing because I want to look at them all in one line. Now there's an easier way to do this, and I don't remember how to do it. That's what I was trying to find in my notes. There's a much easier way to do this, and it prints out into a pretty little table, and you get everything that you need, and it's great. However, I can't remember how to do it. So this is kind of like the nitty-gritty brute force way of doing it that I would not dare to put into a final code base because it's expensive with the 2 nested for loops. I think I would still have to do one because I have a list of data frames that I'm working with, but you know, it is what it is. So trial right now is an object. Everything else is fine. Basically, we want only integers and float values. Temperature and time should be the only 2 float values. And I'm realizing now I should probably put time and minutes. So where's the naming for that? What do I name time? Here we go. This is time minutes. And I'm just going to add that so that the next time I run it, it includes the unit. I can tell you right now, I want to convert that from minutes into seconds, just so everything is nice and neat and even, and we have measurements every millisecond, I think. And so putting it in seconds would just be a lot easier for comprehension of data. Okay, so the next time we run that, we'll have the unit there. But we have this object. Now, I know that we've debated a lot about whether or not to keep trial. And honestly, I don't think it's very useful. It was useful for reading the data in, but like it'll be obvious that we have trials, right? Where did I add that? Trials 15. Yeah, here we go. I added it here. And there was some discussion about whether or not I would figure out if the trials were the same or not in between everything. However, I think I can be just as effective at doing that without the trial name actually labeled. So this is an example where I'm looking at this object data type and I'm like, is this really necessary? We have the concentration label, right? Yeah, concentration. That at this point, we don't need to differentiate between the first, second, and third trial or the fourth trial. We don't need to differentiate between those. The fact that we just have those three different data types present, I think is going to be enough. So I want to add in a for I in range 0 length of conx. I want to set conx equal to conx dot drop trial. And I'm trying to remember if I need to set this up as an axis. Hold on. Or not. No help for me today. Okay, so I want to go into Python pandas data frame drop. There we go. This is the what I'm calling whenever I'm doing that. I'm in the library pandas because I'm using a data frame and I'm calling on the drop function. The axis from the index are columns. Yeah, so we need to set the axis equal to 1. And I need to add in the list there. And I do believe that that will work. Let me do, and then I'm just gonna check this again to see if that trials is still in there. Concentration trial. Okay. So there's an error happening, so I know that that's a good thing. However, I need to set up my column names. I need to reset that up after I do the drop. Okay, cool. Now I need to regenerate my conx. So what I think I'm gonna do, and this is what happens a lot in scrubbing, I'm gonna stop the kernel and I'm gonna restart and run all. Restart and run all. because I'm modifying variables that are dependent on something that I generated before. Yeah, this is why separating out notebooks is important, is runtime as well. Okay, so I didn't get any errors the second time. Here you can see that I do have the trial as an object, and here this is where it would be I do not have a trial as an object. So something that I want to do as well, instead of printing, I want to set something up. I think I'm just going to do it in a new cell below. I want to, if let's do, we're going to have to set up the same kind of type thing for I in range to 0, length of conx, for j in range of 0 to length column names. And this is, I'm going to set up a Boolean statement. Basically, I want everything to add up to 0 because I want everything to be an integer or float value. Now, this is important because we're doing regression. If we were doing a machine learning model that involved classification, we would want to set up those object variables as categories. However, I don't think it's pertinent for this data set because we need continuous type data. What that means is you can place it on a number line. That's how regressions work. That's the type of input that you need for a regression. So I want to make sure that the D type is equal to a float 64 or an integer 64 value. Now the 64 just means it's like the bit that your computer is. It's just how the information is stored. The important part is that it's an integer. So I'm going to do here conx I. Let's do column names j. So here home, I want to set up a list, and then I'm going to print out the sum of that list. If it's greater than 0, then I want that to raise an error message. This is purely for troubleshooting purposes. I've already completed the task that I needed to here by managing object type data. Actually, we didn't even include a little header for ourselves here. No, we didn't. So I'm going to go pull, I think it's here. Hold on. Yeah, okay, here we go. Right now we are working on evaluating data types. Okay. And we need this to be marked down. Evaluate data types. That's what we're doing here. Do I have explanations? Or do I have the... I just want to make sure that my stuff... Yeah, I do. I did include the user story there. So I'm going to pull that over. There we go. Then I want to add another little bit of explanation here. Since this data is being passed into a logistic, why is it a logistic regression? It should be, how about we just put regression? regression type model, there should only be float or integer type data present. Come on. Is it just... Yeah, there we go. So I love the little red highlights that you're seeing are because I have a widget installed in my Jupyter notebook that does spell check for me. I realized that I had a lot of misspellings in one of my readmes and a significant amount in my notebooks as well. Whenever I went back and reviewed them as a project, and I was mortified because I think that that's unprofessional. And I was trying to use these in my portfolio. And so I added that spell check widget, and it tells me whenever I have a misspelled word by highlighting it in red, and I love it. It helps a lot. Okay, so here we are trying to get, and we want dot d type here, does not equal, we need an if statement here, does not equal int 64. And I know that you can say or, what is it? Yeah, it's spelled float 64. And then I was gonna set up a variable here. I'm just gonna call it int float equals empty list. I want to do this a little bit differently. I don't want to use an if statement. I'm just going to say int float dot append, and it should append the true false value for what's going on here. And then I want to look at the very end. I want to look at int float dot sum. This should be 0. List object has no attribute sum. Okay, cool. Then let's make it a not int and string. Okay, let's look at what's in here then. True, float 64. True. Okay, so it's only printing true for the float 64 values. Does not equal. What if I did that? Okay, let me look up Python Boolean to true values. There's a way to do this. Conditionals. I think, does it need to be a bar? Yeah. I think it does. Okay, hold on. Conx I then column names j dot d type. Okay. Saying that does not equal int64. Hold on. Let me do some stuff, because that should be true. Like, this should be... Anyway. There's something weird going on. Let's do dtype. Can I just... dtype is not defined. Okay. Let's see here. Let's do pandas dtype. Oh, dtypes. Hold on. Const 0 dot dtypes. Am I that? Yeah, this is what I was looking for. Okay, hold on. We're gonna fix this right quick. For I and length of const, I just want. No. Thank you. And it returns the column name automatically. Dtypes. Const I. There we go. Print. Appear for me. Thank you. Cool. That's what I was looking for, and we can also do file names I. That way we can get what we're looking at the same time. Okay, that's better. And then here, I want to drop it, then I want to set it up, and then I want to get rid of this. And I want to print file names I const dtypes. Okay, yeah. Restart and run all. You can't drop something if it's already been dropped. Let me see here. What if I get rid of these? int64 is not defined. Okay. Let's see here. Dtypes. Dtype float 64. Let's do that. Let's set this up as int, or let's do this one as float 64 equals, and then let's set up int 64 equals const. I don't want I want 0. Here we go. Dot dtypes, and I should be able to call 2, and that should work. And now let's print these out to make sure that I'm getting what I want. int 64. Okay. And then here we can say, we should be able to run this now. True gives an error. Oh, okay. I need it to be either or to return a true value, but I need it to return false if it's not either one of those things. Like this is saying does not equal one of those two values. So I'm gonna do a little bit more here. Python Boolean complex. There we go. Complex Boolean expressions. Using and. Disjunction, negation. True and true equals true, false and false equals false, true and false equals false, false and true equals false. This is what I need. It's either or. Equals. And then it should return false if there's something that's not there. This is gonna be really annoying. I now have to run these individually because I have an object thing that I can use. I needed to restart. Restart, please. And then I have to run all of these up until I drop. I don't want to drop yet. I want to test. Here. Cool. I just added the trial in. Now, column names, cool. That's cool. I don't want to run this cell yet. I want that cell to be empty. And here I should get, yeah, false. And so if I do a sum, yeah, sum is less than length of int float. True. If this is true, this statement here, sum of this is less than the length, then we know that stuff happens. If end print value, or let's say object data type found, adjust. I'm just going to say adjust because it lets the user know that something is wrong. Else, print no object data types found, continue. I'm gonna say stop and adjust. And I'm gonna do something else too. I'm going to here set a value called proceed. And I'm just gonna set this as an empty text there, here, and then I'm gonna say before the printing, proceed equals, I'm just gonna put stop, and then here I'm gonna proceed, this value is gonna be continue, and then I'm gonna print proceed. Okay, so that way, this is proceed thing is so that we can throw a flag, and if we find proceed ever equals stop, then we know that we have something wrong. And now if I go back and I run the cell where trial is dropped, it should say, yeah, no object data types found, continue. That's fantastic. Okay, so we have fixed our data type problem. And we've also set up a little bit of a function here. And I'm gonna keep this nested for loop for it for now. I might adjust that in the future. Where I pull something like using the D types, but that might introduce another for loop, I'm uncertain. So I'm gonna leave this how it is now, but I might adjust this in the future. Okay, so to put all of this into a function, I would just, this is the one that needs to be put into a function. I'm gonna do insert cell below, and I'm gonna do a function def, which is short for define. I'm gonna define a function. And I'm gonna say check for object D types. What needs to be passed in is the data frames and the proceed value. I think I'm gonna start doing this proceed thing a little bit more. And anytime that there's some Boolean statement that is false or true, just like we did here with this one, I know if this length is different, then I need to stop. I think I'm gonna start doing this proceed value a little bit more. I don't know if I need it to be passed in though. Then I'm gonna add a doc string here. This function will return if, or will return a determination on if there is any object data present, it will not fix the problem. Then what's passed in, user should pass in a list of data frames to be evaluated. Oh, okay. I already put what it returns. Okay, cool. Now we can write the function. Int float, this value should always be empty at the beginning of this. Then I'm gonna set up my proceed as an empty string. And then for I in range 0 to length of data frames. For j in range 0 length of data frames dot columns. Int float dot append data frames I okay, cool. There's something else that I need to set up here too. Let's just set this up as column names equals data frames dot columns. And we're gonna change this here to column names. And the reason why we want to set it up as a variable so that we calculate it once and then we can just call on that value versus having to recalculate data frames.columns every time that we want to use it. So here we do column names j dot dtype equal to int 64 or data frames I column names j float 64 we need to change this. Float, can we do that? And can we do this? Let's see. So these are internal to Python. You can see that they're green. Let's see what happens whenever we just say int. What happens? Okay, we get int. If I do... This is going to be interesting. Let's see if this works. It may or may not. Then if sum int float is less than the length of int float, then proceed equals stop. I'm gonna go ahead and lowercase that. And then we still want to print out this error message, object data type found stop adjust. And then else proceed equals continue. We're going to print No object data types found, continue. And we want to return proceed. Okay, let's run our new function. Check for object D types, and let's pass in our list of data frames. We get an error. Okay, yeah, we're passing in a list of data frames. So what's happening here is a list does not have attribute columns. What that means is we can't find the columns in a list. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull from that first one. Let's try this again. Index cannot be interpreted as an integer. Okay, this should be length. Let's try again. Object data type found. Stop. I'm pretty sure I ran this. Let's go ahead and restart, and let's run all. And let's see if we get the same thing here. If so, that means there's something wrong with our function here. And I bet it's because we can't use int or float. Yeah. Okay. We can do this. Okay, so let's set this up as int 64 is equal to the number 1 dot d type. I want to check this just in case. Let me copy, paste int 64. I want to double check that this is possible. Invalid syntax. Okay. Data frame equals pd dot data frame. Let's do integers. Let's set this up as data frame integers. Did you have a weird dream in your nap? My cat just woke up and started meowing. He has a little spot on my desk for when I'm doing this type of work. Integers equals 1, 2. And let's do data frame floats. I need to put these in string. Equals list 1.1 and 2.2. Then if I do this, data frame integers dot let's do this, data frame dot d types 0 and data frame dot d types 1. Okay, there we go. This is what I'm looking for. Okay, so if we set this up, int64 is equal to, and here we set up float 64 is equal to. Okay, so this is something that we're going to put in here to get our data type set up. And I'm gonna add pseudo just because it's not a real data frame that has any data in it. Okay. And I just want to make extra sure that it doesn't overlap with this data frames variable somehow. Okay. And here I'm going to put int 64 and float 64. And that should fix our problem here. Yeah. Yeah, it does. Okay, cool. Now I want to do the same thing where I restart and I go back up to the top and I want to test because I have a negative test for this. So I want to make sure that this function still works whenever I know that it should return the value stop, right? There, we're adding in trials. Okay, I'm not gonna drop trials yet. And I'm not even gonna run that part yet. I'm gonna run my function and this, and I have a stop. Okay, that's great. Now I'm gonna restart and run all. And once I have this done, then I am happy. Okay, so here, okay. That's great. So I feel like I have finally completed the task evaluate data types. And so I'm going to go ahead and adjust my story points for that. That's something I'm doing off camera right now. And I'm going to check that off of the list for the sprint. And we spent 1 hour working on that on stream. And that is the time that I had allocated for it. Okay, so that was evaluate data types. And I also have, some a function that I can call on in the Python notebook, and I know that it will work for whenever I have no object data types, and I know that it'll find an object data type and return it. So that's pretty cool. And I have this printout that will go whenever I'm pre-processing data. I'll be able to see what I'm doing. At the beginning of this, at the end of the function or whatever, I'll print out, actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and add that to the function now, is print checking for object type data. And it should print that, and then it'll print out afterwards, no object data type found, continue, or it'll print out object data type found, stop, and adjust. And that proceed value will be stop. I want to set up some fail-safes in the Python or the Py file later where this will break, like this proceed being, if the proceed value is stop, then that function needs to break. That's something I could actually set up here. If proceed equals stop, break, else continue. And then break is outside of a loop right now. In the Py file, it won't be. So that's what that would look like. Okay, so our next section that we're going to do, I need to update my label from to do to done. And then I'm going to also update my clean column names label from to do to doing, and I'm going to go ahead and start that timer. Okay, so for clean column names, we have some information. Clean column names. There we go. Let's see here. Now I want to check for any white spaces after the name. So the way that I'm going to do that is for I in length of 0 to, for I in range 0 to length of const. I want to look at const, and it's not even that. For I, or this is going to be for j and range. I don't even think it's going to be in range. I think it's just going to be const I dot columns j dot split on a space. Let's see here. Let's see what that gets us. Okay, cool. That gets us lots of stuff. Okay, this is going to be good. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to introduce some white space to one of the column names that we're keeping. So let's put it on this one. And now I'm going to restart and run all. So I'm introducing an error to make sure that what I'm writing will work for what I'm doing. Because I want this to be applicable to any future data that comes in. I'm hoping to set up this logistic regression model so that it can be used across all GC type outputs. Let's double check. There we go. Yeah, we have an empty space there. Okay, so I have it printed. Let's see here. Column name, list equals 0. I'm kind of wondering if I need to set this up right now to address each trial individually or each data frame individually, or if I can set it up to just go through the entire thing. I think I can just set it up to go through the entire thing. Because unlike here, the check for object data types, we can't fix those without looking at the actual data. This, we're just looking for breaks or like tab delimiters and spaces, and we can fix all of those. So right now we have a trailing white space. I think we can just set this up. So I'm gonna do column name list equals end, and then I'm going to exit out of that for loop. I don't want to nest anymore in that for loop, but I can say for k and column name list. And again, I'm just kind of checking to see if there's any trailing white space. And then I need to do for M, and I'm skipping L because it looks like the number 1, so I'm just skipping it. It's, yeah, I, J, K, L, M for M in range 0 to length of K. If M is equal to a white space, or to be cleaned equals to be cleaned dot append, and I want to attach the Boolean values here, an empty white space. So I'm gonna get rid of that. It doesn't need to be an if loop. Then I can return to be cleaned, and I should be able to take the sum of that. What happened? Zero. Okay. Oh, I don't like this. Oh, this is gonna get gnarly. That's better. Oh god. But why? I added a trailing white space. Okay. Yeah, I've got it right there. Let me do print M just to see what we're getting. Yeah, this for loop is not good. Okay. Let's do print K. I don't need this print column nameless, I just want print K. Okay, that gives us what we need. Okay. So that's what we need to do. We need to set up to be cleaned dot append K is equal to space. And then now we should be able to get the sum to figure out how many there are. There's 63. That's kind of what I expected because I added one trailing white space. So here we need to do if sum to be cleaned is greater than 0, then we need to kind of like here at the very beginning, we're going to print checking column names for issues, and then if this number is greater than 0, we need to print and then here we need to also set our proceed equal to stop. Then we're gonna print white space is found. Then we can set up else proceed equals continue, and we can print no white spaces found, and this is actually one word. Adjusting, no white spaces found, then continue. Okay. Now that's just checking for them and finding, checking for issues. Then I want to print checking for white spaces. First, let's see. Checking for white spaces found, adjusting. Okay. Okay, let's see here. So we need to get rid of those. And normally what I do is I just rewrite the column name itself. So we split stuff, merge, merge string and list Python. Here we go. Join. Okay. There we go. So for if there are no white spaces present, then we want to join that list together, right? And if there is a white space present, then we want to drop that white space and then join. So we need to check each value in our column names list after we split it. So we need to, okay, so I'm going to leave this here for now. And then I'm going to start working on something a little bit different. For I in range of 0 to length of concs, we need to look at each data frame independently. For J and concs dot columns, print J. Concs I, print J. Okay, that's great. Then we can do dot split. And we want to split based off the empty separator. We have our one there. Then for for K and J dot split, let's print K to make sure that we are looking at what we want. That's great. And there's our space right there. So we figured out we need to use dot join. Let's do Python remove empty strings from list. As you can tell, this is pretty common. Yeah, that's what I thought. We know that we want to use join. Yeah. Okay. This might be the most here. But that's a while. I like this one, the list comprehension. Let's try adapting this. Let's see here. and conx I dot columns, and then I might be able to get rid of this as well. Then I should be able to print conx I dot columns dot split let's do J dot split for JN should be able to print and okay, here we go. We still have that white space in there. I think I have to do conx I dot columns equals maybe to get that stripped. It's still there. I'm gonna go ahead and hash this out right quick, and I'm going to let's do print conx I dot columns after that's done. Time year, yeah, it's that white space is still there. Let me try x dot strip. That works. We don't have that year white space anymore. Okay, so this works for trailing white spaces. And then I'm gonna include that other one too. Conx I dot columns equals line comprehension x for x and conx I dot columns if x. So this one is going to remove trailing white spaces. This one is going to remove empty values. Remove trailing white space. The empty values is I don't really like this for removing empty values because you're not like dropping that row of data. What if there's data in that row? So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this. I know I said I was gonna include it, but I don't think I want to. And then here, let me check this to see. Yeah, it's gone. So I needed to add the dot strip. Cool. And that does it for every single one. That's pretty nice. Okay. Oh, it's getting late. Did I start my timer? Yeah, I did. Okay, cool. Okay. Okay. The only other thing that I'm seeing is I want this to be in micrograms. I want that to actually have the mu value. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're done with all of this. Let's see if we can't get mu in Jupyter Notebook. Let's see if we can't call on that. Okay, so we just need to do /mu, and it should work. Let's see. /mu. Is that the wrong slash? Nope. Let me print. Cool. This article is just completely Is this only in Markdown? That's my next thing. Let's change this to a Markdown cell. Nope. Yeah, this is latex. So you have to Okay, so you have to hit tab. Let's try this in code. Oh! Okay, cool. Yeah, let's go ahead and if I print this, I get mu. Okay, cool. So we're gonna go ahead and do that for our micrograms whenever we're generating all of our data. And that should be here, concentration. There we go. We need /mu tab. Oh, this is micrograms. Let's mu tab grams. Mu tab grams. Okay, and I think that should do it. Let's go ahead and restart and run all. And we don't need that cell anymore. What I do want to do, insert cell above. Let's look at our conx 0.columns. micrograms per liter. Okay, that's fantastic. And let's look at .d types. Okay, that's fantastic. Okay. So I'm happy with that. That is one of the other things that I wanted to do to clean up column names. Because doing the micrograms is, like, typing it all out's a lot, and it's not what scientists are going to want to see whenever they're looking at stuff. Okay, so this fixes white space. This removes the trailing white space. Now, I'm curious about tabs. That's the other thing that is commonly found is a tab delimiter. So I think I can copy paste this here. And I want to get rid of that for other delimiters. And I think let's see what we can do. String dot split by tab delimiter Python. Okay, /t, which is the, is it in, yeah, it's in quotes. Okay. /t. /t. Let's do tab delimiter found. No tab delimiters found. Continue, and I think a dot strip. I think you can pass in what to strip. String dot strip Python. Can you give me the docs, please? Documentation. Built-in types. Truth value. Strip. L strip. R strip. Strip just takes, L strip is left strip, R strip is right strip. So you can strip the white space off the left side of a value or the right side of a value. If you do just plain strip, then it does it all. With the leading and trailing characters, remove is a string. If omitted, none. The character's argument defaults to removing white space, which is what I want. But you can strip specific stuff as well. So I think here I should be able to strip tab. And now For tab delimiters, I'm just gonna say tab delimiters. Whitespace and tabs are the most common things. I want to go back up to my data set here where something is getting written in. Let's do here. Let's add a slash tab. There we go. Restart and run all. And let's see if this works here. No tab delimiters found. That's interesting. I'm wondering if this took care of the tab delimiter as well. Okay, run all above. So we'll run to here. Okay, we made it. I'll run here. No tab delimiters found. Okay, let's see. String Python how to include a tab delimiter. Split the string. How to include a tab. Okay. I'm curious here. Because all of these should, it just has it /t. I wonder if I need to put a space to turn it into a tab. I think I do. Let's find out. And then I'm gonna go run all above again. Okay. I want to restart, so I'll run all above. Okay. I got my continue. Let's check for tab delimiters. Conx 0. Got columns. Just says /t. It's not turning it into a tab. maybe let's set it up as separate. Let's try that and then go. Okay. Yeah, it's just showing up as /t. Not an actual tab. Like it's showing here. I think, and this is something, this is one of the things that's a little bit frustrating, is if you know that you already have a perfect data set and you're trying to do some stuff. I think here I'm gonna set up time month equals a string, and it's gonna be time month, and then I'm just gonna put /t here, and then I'm gonna take this and pass in that variable. And now let's see here. This is either gonna be brilliant or it's gonna break everything. Column names, restart, run all above. Let's see if it breaks things. It did not break things. Let's look at our columns here. It's still saying /t. Do I have to put it in double quotes? All of these are in double quotes. You know what? I do have to put it in double quotes. Okay. Because there's an escape character, and if you do escape characters in Python, they need to be in double quotes. Time month /t. And then I think I'll get my tab delimiter. We're gonna restart. We're gonna go back here, and we're going to run all above. We should get a continue here. It's a little fun fact about Python, if you did not know. If you have an escape character, you gotta put it in double quotes. I'm so bothered by this. It's not showing. It should just be white space, by the way. It should not have the /t in that columns printout. It should just be empty white space. So we're gonna reset this up as a variable, and we're going to say time month equals we're gonna do time month. We're going to restart again. Go back to the area of the notebook that we're working on. We're gonna run all above. Continue. It's still saying /t. It's not, let's, how to include a tab in a column name Python. That's not what I want. That's, none of this is what I want. How to include a tab in a string Python. Let's look at documentation. And then let's look for tab. Wait, what? Why am I not doing this? String.whitespace. Hold on. This needs to be dot append no attribute. Has no attribute white space. String object. What? String constants. Okay. Okay. Oh. Okay, so this is not gonna help me. That's really annoying. I don't know why I can't. This I'm just gonna get rid of. If I do /t, what if I do this in double quotes? /t. Is this, do I need to hit tab after or something? No. that's what I'm looking for, is this. Yeah, so it does have a trailing white space at the end of it. Yeah, it's got that. Let's see. Conx 0 time month. And it's got the /t. Is it because here I don't have, it's probably because I don't have double quotes here. Goodness gracious. Welcome to a code hole, everyone. It should absolutely be there. Let's check it this way. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Let's split by a tab here. And then we want to check for empty space here. There we go. And then here we should be able to strip our empty space here. Okay. Conx 0 columns. Okay. So if we do that, we can see this empty space here. We can also see the tab here. Now we should see that removed. Yeah, that tab has been removed. Okay, that's great. Removing tab delimiters. Okay. I feel much better now. We can go ahead and get rid of this and get rid of this. We know that it works. We can get rid of this. Okay. Okay. This should say white space is found, adjusting, and then we do the removing of the white spaces found. We have no white spaces found, and we have continue. And I want to print out my proceed value. We get continue there. I want to print out my proceed value here. I'm not going to run that right now because I need to reset before I do that. And here I should be able to, checking for tab delimiters, no tab delimiters found. This should print out proceed. It should print out tab delimiter found adjusting, and then we can run this, and then after this we should be able to run this again. And it should say no tab delimiters found, continue. Okay, now I'm going to restart then I'm going to run all. And we should get some interesting printout here. Checking for white spaces, adjusting our proceed value as stop. Now, no white spaces found, continue. Checking for tab delimiters, no tab delimiters found, continue. This should have printed a tab delimiter. Gonna restart, and I'm going to run all above. White space is found. That's great. And then here, tab delimiters, stop. Okay, this strip gets rid of the tab as well because it's an empty string. But I know that if this doesn't catch it, then this will. Okay, that's cool. I'm gonna go ahead and add this section in with the stop here. Control V. Remove the tab delimiters, and then I want to run this again. Inside there. And then I should be able to get rid of this. And I actually want to do the same kind of type thing for this as well. I want to take all of this and shove it inside this adjusting loop. Okay. I want to get rid of this. And let's see here. Let's restart and run all. Okay, that's great. Now we need to write a function that does this task for us. So let's go ahead and do def handle column names. And we want to pass in our data frames. We also want to pass in our delimiter. And I'll explain why here in a little bit. This function takes a list of data frames and the delimiter to be addressed and returns decision about, how did I phrase this earlier up here? We'll return a determination on if there's, return a determination about the presence of the selected delimiter. Okay. And let's get this started. So first, we're gonna just, for issues, checking for selected delimiter. Column name list to be cleaned for I and range of data frames. Columns. Data frames, column name list equals. And then for K, and column list to be cleaned. And if proceed, print delimiters found, adjusting. Data frames. This needs to be data frames. Data frames. Okay, these are at the right level. Data frames. Data frames. Delimiter. Delimiter. There we go. And let's try to run this. Handle column names. Let's pass in our concs and a white space. And let's return the proceed value. Continue. Cool. Now let's go ahead and restart and let's run everything above this. And we're not going to run these just yet. We are going to run our function, handle column names, delimiters found, adjusting, cool. And we're going to do another one of these. And this time we're gonna do our /tab. No delimiters found. Continue. Let's go ahead. I realize we also need to return the list of data frames. So this needs to be set up a little bit differently. We're going to set this up as const proceed equals that, and then we're going to return the proceed value. Here we're going to do the same thing. Const proceed equals, and then we want to print out the proceed value. Okay, so we're going to restart our kernel, and we're going to run all above this line. We checked that our space delimiter worked. Now we're going to check our tab delimiter. Delimiters found, adjusting, great, continue. Perfect. Okay, and then here, if we run this now, no delimiters found, continue. Okay, cool. That's fantastic. And then here, insert above, I'm gonna do const 0 dot columns. And you can see that we don't have a trailing space after a year, and we don't have a tab after a month. That is fantastic. And we have a function that tells us we're checking column names for issue, checking for selected delimiter, no delimiters found, continue, or delimiters found, adjusting. Then it rechecks no delimiters found, continue. That's pretty cool. So we have, so today what we did is we looked at checking for object data types, and then we handled column names if there are trailing white spaces or trailing tab delimiters. Those are things that are really, really common in data sets. There are also some additional delimiters that you could look for, including line breaks or new lines. That is something that I think this function here, handle column names, I think it will address a new line as well. We can check that right quick, actually. Let's go ahead and do that. And the new line here is just, I think it's N. And we can restart, and let's run, so I'll run all above. Continue. Let's get our function ran, and let's check for our new lines. That's fantastic. We don't have any new lines in our data set, but we could add them pretty quickly. It's beneath the soup. Here. We can do, let's do time day is equal to time day slash new line, and then here let's do that, and that should do it. Let's go back down here. We are going to restart, so I'll run all above. New line is like whenever you hit enter on your keyboard. Tab is whenever you hit there we go. Time day And then we should be able to go here. Okay, here we go. And now we should be able to write our function and check for our new lines, delimiters found, no delimiters found, continue. So it's a pretty robust little function. I'm very happy with this. And then I'm gonna run those, no delimiters found, and then our column names are all nice and squeaky clean now. So that's something that we know we can handle several different types of delimiters. What's kind of fun is I would actually put these delimiters into a list and then say for I n and then run this test. So let's set up that delimiters equals, we have our space, and then we have our tab, and then we have our /n. Then you could say for I n delimiters, and then you would just put handle column names, and we want to use the same data set every time. Const, and then you would put I for delimiters. Const equals const proceed equals, then you would have your list corrected dfs equals, and then you would need your list corrected proceed, and then list corrected dfs equals, or not equals, it would be dot append const, and then list corrected proceed dot append proceed. Hold on. Empty separator. There we go. And then here you would do for j and list corrected proceed if j does not equal continue. I just realized this no delimiters found. I want a period here to be consistent and congruent. Print issues found stop adjust. And then we don't have to put in an else statement, but the else statement would be continue. And then here I would want to say, you want to check to see if any of the data frames are different. That would go here in this else. Check to see if data frames are different. Return one data frame at the end. This is not going to be an issue for us, but this is how you would go about functionizing the different delimiters here. That's a little bit outside of the scope of what I want to complete right now. This is something that I might come back and do whenever I'm generating my Py file. So I'll just say that this is the beginning of functionizing using a list of delimiters instead of checking them all separately. There we go. That way I can remember what the cell is for. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and restart. I want to get a clean run all here. Okay, and I am gonna call this clean column names. This particular user story completed. When I view column names, there are no spaces or breaks in the column name, and the names are in the formatting necessary for visualization. So we did a couple of things for that. We changed our word written out micro. We changed that into an actual mu symbol, which stands for micro. We have our time in minutes, our temperature in Celsius. We have no trailing white space, no trailing tabs, no trailing line breaks. So I'm going to go ahead and spend my story points, change my label from doing to done, actually. And I'm going to stop my timer for this particular activity. And that is all of the time that we have today to do some stuff. So just a little preview of next time. We're still going to be scrubbing. Next time, I'm hoping to do a lot of things kind of at the same time. I want to first manage NaNs. There's a really easy way to check for NaNs, and I want to do that. And what that means is we're going to go through every data frame that we have, every column and every row of data, like each cell of data that we have, to make sure that it is in fact a number and there is something present there. There's not a gap, there's not white space, there's not a whole lot of stuff. So far we've just checked for white space and the other delimiters in our column names. Now we need to actually move forward and check our data, the actual contents of the data, and we're going to manage the NaNs. Then we're going to manage duplicates. We're going to manage infinite numbers, and I think that's what we're going to be doing on the next stream. At this point, we're no longer working with text type data, so we don't have to spend time going through and figuring out, if it has to be single quotes or if it needs to be double quotes because we have an escape character. And we don't need to figure out, stripping and all this other stuff that you have to do whenever you're dealing with text or string type data. We're going to be moving strictly into integers and floats. And that process is a little bit different and a little bit easier. It's still going to require a lot of iteration, but we can actually vectorize a little bit, which means less computation stress on our system, and I'm excited about that. We have, in the reports, the selected delimiter, you know, we might be able to print out which value was used here and tell them, you know, this, it's white space, or there's tabs, or there's line breaks. That way, you know, it's just another form of communicating with a client. So I'm going to go ahead and hit our stop. And, you know, along the way, you should be seeing that kernel restart. And I'm in the second only black and white screen right now. That should be right above my head. You can see kernel restarted, restoring connection, replaying buffered messages, saving file, and then you can see a lot of kernel restarted. Every time that I hit restart, that's what was happening. Let's see. Here we have a modified notebook, which is accurate. We're going to add that notebook to our commit, and we're going to double check that we added it, and then we're going to commit this to our branch. We're going to say add functions for handling objects and delimiters. And where you can see that we added, we deleted 150 lines of code, but we added 35,000 lines of code today. That's a lot. Let's do git push. Let's actually say, let's check git status, git push. Okay, and that is now in the cloud to be pulled down to work from wherever I need to work next time. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I would love to answer questions about scrubbing. And I guess with that, have a great day. And bye. And again.